Fedora Linux in 2026 stands at a very interesting point in the evolution of desktop and server operating systems, because it is no longer just another Linux distribution competing for attention among enthusiasts, but a forward-looking platform that actively shapes what the future of Linux looks like. When people talk about cutting-edge Linux today, Fedora almost always comes up in the conversation, not because it tries to be flashy or experimental for the sake of it, but because it carefully balances innovation with stability in a way that very few operating systems manage to achieve. And if you've been following Linux for even a few years, you'll notice that many technologies that later become standard across the entire ecosystem often appear first in Fedora, almost like it's a testing ground for the future that is surprisingly usable in the present. One of the biggest reasons Fedora has gained this reputation is its close relationship with Red Hat, which means that the technologies developed and refined inside Fedora often find their way into Red Hat Enterprise Linux later on. This creates a unique feedback loop where Fedora users get early access to modern features, while enterprise users benefit from the stability of those same features once they mature. In 2026, this relationship feels more important than ever, especially as Linux continues to expand beyond servers and developers into mainstream desktop use, content creation, and even gaming. When you first install Fedora in 2026, the experience feels polished, modern, and surprisingly approachable. The installation process itself has improved over the years, becoming more intuitive without losing the flexibility that advanced users expect. The Anaconda installer has evolved into something that feels both powerful and user-friendly, guiding new users through the setup while still offering deep customization for those who want to control partitioning, encryption, or system configuration. And once the installation is complete, the first boot gives you a clean, minimal desktop that doesn't feel cluttered or overwhelming. Fedora Workstation, which is the main desktop edition, continues to ship with GNOME, and in 2026, GNOME has reached a level of maturity that makes it one of the most refined desktop environments available. The interface is smooth, animations are fluid, and the overall design feels consistent and modern. Fedora's implementation of GNOME is particularly noteworthy because it sticks close to upstream, meaning you get a pure GNOME experience without unnecessary modifications. This might seem like a small detail, but it actually makes a big difference in terms of stability, performance, and compatibility with updates. Performance is another area where Fedora really shines in 2026. Thanks to its relatively fast release cycle and commitment to shipping newer kernels and system components, Fedora often feels more responsive and optimized compared to distributions that prioritize long-term stability over freshness. The Linux kernel versions included in Fedora tend to be among the latest stable releases, which means better hardware support, improved power management, and faster performance improvements. This is especially noticeable on newer hardware, where Fedora often works out of the box with minimal configuration. Speaking of hardware support, Fedora in 2026 does a solid job of handling a wide range of devices. Whether you're using a modern laptop with the latest Intel or AMD processors, or a desktop with a powerful GPU, Fedora generally recognizes and configures hardware automatically. Wayland, which has been gradually replacing X11 over the years, is now the default and works reliably for most users. The transition to Wayland has brought improvements in security, smoother graphics, and better support for high refresh rate displays, although there are still some edge cases where X11 might be needed. Gaming on Fedora has also improved significantly by 2026. While it might not be the first choice for gamers compared to some other distributions, it has become a very capable platform thanks to tools like Proton, Steam, and improvements in graphics drivers. Fedora's focus on open-source drivers means that AMD GPUs work exceptionally well, while NVIDIA support has also become more manageable, even though it still requires proprietary drivers. The gaming experience is now smooth enough that many users can use Fedora as their primary system without needing to dual boot. One of the defining characteristics of Fedora is its commitment to open-source principles. Unlike some distributions that include proprietary software by default, Fedora takes a stricter approach, which means certain codecs or drivers might not be included out of the box. While this can be a minor inconvenience for new users, it aligns with Fedora's philosophy and ensures that the system remains clean, transparent, and legally compliant. In practice, installing additional software is straightforward, thanks to the DNF package manager and the availability of third-party repositories. DNF, Fedora's package manager, has seen continuous improvements and remains one of the most reliable tools for managing software on Linux. In 2026, it is faster, more efficient, and easier to use than ever before. Software installation, updates, and dependency management are handled seamlessly, and the integration with graphical tools like GNOME software makes it accessible even for users who prefer not to use the command line. At the same time, advanced users still have full control through terminal commands, which is one of the strengths of Linux in general. Another major development in Fedora is the growing importance of immutable and atomic systems, particularly with Fedora Silverblue. Silverblue represents a different approach to operating systems, where the base system is read-only and updates are applied atomically. This means that updates are more reliable, rollbacks are easy, and the system is less likely to break due to misconfigurations. In 2026, Silverblue has become more mature and user-friendly, making it a viable option not just for developers but also for everyday users who want a stable and secure system. Containerization is also a big part of Fedora's ecosystem. Tools like Podman and Toolbox make it easy to create isolated environments for development, testing, or running applications. This is particularly useful for developers who need different versions of software or want to avoid conflicts between dependencies. Fedora's strong focus on containers reflects the broader trend in the tech industry, where containerized applications are becoming the standard for deployment and development. Security is another area where Fedora stands out. By default, it includes features like SELinux, which provides an additional layer of protection by enforcing strict access controls. While SELinux has a reputation for being complex, Fedora's implementation has improved over the years, making it more transparent and less intrusive for everyday use. In 2026, security is more important than ever, and Fedora's proactive approach gives it an edge over many other operating systems. Updates in Fedora follow a predictable schedule, with new releases approximately every 6 months. This means users get access to the latest features and improvements relatively quickly. However, this also means that Fedora is not considered a long-term support distribution, and users need to upgrade regularly to stay on a supported version. For some people, this fast pace is a benefit, while for others, it might be a drawback. That said, the upgrade process itself has become smoother, making it less of a hassle than it used to be. The community around Fedora is another important aspect of its success. Fedora has a strong and active community of contributors, developers, and users who help improve the distribution and provide support. Documentation is generally good, and forums, discussion boards, and chat platforms make it easy to find help when needed. This sense of community is one of the things that makes Linux in general appealing, and Fedora is no exception. Looking at the future of Fedora, it's clear that the project will continue to push boundaries and explore new technologies. The shift toward immutable systems, the increasing use of containers, and the continued development of Wayland all point toward a more modern and secure computing environment. Fedora is likely to remain at the forefront of these changes, acting as a bridge between cutting-edge innovation and practical usability. Artificial intelligence and machine learning are also becoming more relevant in the Linux ecosystem, and Fedora is well positioned to support these technologies. With access to the latest libraries, frameworks, and development tools, Fedora provides a solid platform for AI development. This could become an even bigger focus in the coming years as AI continues to shape the future of technology. Another trend to watch is the integration of cloud and edge computing. Fedora already offers editions tailored for servers, cloud environments, and IoT devices, and these areas are likely to grow in importance. As more applications move to the cloud, having a reliable and flexible operating system becomes crucial, and Fedora's adaptability makes it a strong candidate for these use cases. Despite all its strengths, Fedora is not without its challenges. The fast release cycle can sometimes lead to bugs or instability, especially shortly after a new version is released. While these issues are usually resolved quickly, they can be frustrating for users who expect a completely stable system. Additionally, the lack of certain proprietary software out of the box can be a hurdle for newcomers, although this is often easy to fix with a bit of guidance. In terms of competition, Fedora faces strong rivals from other Linux distributions like Ubuntu, Arch, and Debian. Each of these has its own strengths and target audience, and choosing the right one often comes down to personal preference. Fedora's niche is clear. It's for users who want the latest technology, a clean and modern desktop experience, and a strong commitment to open-source principles. For beginners, Fedora in 2026 is more accessible than ever, but it still assumes a certain level of willingness to learn. It might not be as beginner-friendly as some other distributions, but it rewards users who take the time to understand how it works. For intermediate and advanced users, Fedora offers a powerful and flexible environment that can be tailored to almost any use case. For developers, Fedora is arguably one of the best choices available. The availability of up-to-date tools, strong container support, and a clean development environment make it ideal for coding, testing, and deploying applications. Whether you're working on web development, system programming, or AI projects, Fedora provides the tools you need without unnecessary bloat. In conclusion, Fedora Linux in 2026 represents a vision of what a modern operating system can be. It is fast, secure, innovative, and deeply connected to the future of Linux. While it may not be perfect for everyone, it offers a compelling combination of features that make it one of the most advanced Linux distributions available today. If you're looking for a system that keeps you on the cutting edge while still being practical for everyday use, Fedora is definitely worth considering, and its influence on the broader Linux ecosystem ensures that its importance will only continue to grow in the years ahead.